We're gonna get started here, and if anybody has any questions, please pop in at any point. Okay, so we're doing Shabbos Parshas Vayera, which is on Chavches Teves, Shabbos Avarchim Shvat Tafshin and beis. So, like Rachi mentioned, Chavches Teves is the birthday of Rabbi Chana, the mother, Aim Hamalchus, the mother of the Rebbe, and yeah, also the mother of Shmuel, right? Who was who, you know, this is a very foundational piece of our Judaism and our learning. I'm sorry, and our living, right? Because we read it about on Rosh Hashanah, and it's about how we daven and how we show up in our connection with Hashem. The entire year comes from Chana, the mother of Shmuel, and obviously also the mother of the Rebbe and Chana. And yeah, there's a ton to say about that, but I'm sure you all have your own thoughts that you'd like to share as well on this matter. Okay. So this week's Parsha here, I mean, this Sikha talks about the name of the Parsha, right, is Va'era El Avram Al Yitzchak Val Yaakov Bekel Shakai Ushmi Havaya Leinadati Lahem V'Gamer Lachain Amar Levnei Yisrael Ani Havaya V'Gamer. So let me just that basically, what's Va'era, the name of the Parsha? I revealed myself, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, in the name of Shakai, and I did not reveal the name of Havaya to them. And sorry, I'm just going to close the door here. The name of Havaya, I did not at all engage with. And so that's going to be basically the foundation of this whole, what we're going to talk about today. And we'll just start, we'll just jump right in with a couple questions. But before that, I just want to do a tiny little introduction that the idea of Hashem revealing himself to Avram and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Avos is because they were all like Merkavas for Hashem. And like the juxtaposition of like Hashem's relationship with the Avos and Hashem's relationship with the grandchildren through Maisha is basically what we're talking about here. And obviously the point of us all being in this universe. So obviously the point of us being in this universe is to unify heaven and earth and all that. So so without further ado, I'm just going to jump right in here. And I would like to encourage all of you to listen with your heart and hear within each word, within each paragraph, within each thought, there's something very personal, very special, very new. There's something new that the Rebbe was telling you specifically today, and I invite you to listen to what that is for you. And if you're comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear. But I just want to, I guess, point that out before we start, that I would like to encourage you to do that. So we have two questions here on the whole Va'era, that I revealed myself to the Avos and the Kel Shakai, and Havaya and I didn't make myself known through Shem Havaya, and therefore speak so and so and so to the children of Bnei Israel. So that's in the introduction. We're all very familiar with that, but we're going to break that down a little bit. So the first thing we'll break down is Benegel leTechen Ksuvim Elu Shela Avos Niskala Kashberchu Rak Kel Shakai V'Lei B'Shem Havaya Elu Bnei Yisrael Yiskala Ata B'Shem Havaya Ech Matem Halashen Lachain Shehu Mesayve V'Teitza Me'enishal Fanav Hainu Shamar L'Bnei Yisrael Hu Beglal Va'era El Avram Hafech L'Techen HaKsuvim She'etzel Bnei Yisrael Yeh Enyan Chadash. So the first thing we're going to look at is the I don't know what the word, the connection word. What's that in English? The basically in the beginning, Hashem says, I revealed myself to I did not reveal myself to the Avos in this way, and I will reveal myself to the Bnei Israel in this way. But so why does it say therefore? Why does it say lachain? Because that's basically telling us that there is a direct connection, and the reason why Hashem is revealing himself to Bnei Israel now in this way is because of this revelation of the Avos in the other way, but it doesn't really seem that way because the content is saying that it's a totally different type of revelation. So what does the Avos have to do, and what's the connection? This is something brand new, this whole Havaya thing. So how is Shakai a cause and like a causation of it? It doesn't seem like it is cause and effect, right? But so that's our question number one. And then our second question is Parshas who are there Teichen ha-parsha hu al derech marlas b'nei Yisrael she'yiskala etzlam shem havaya shalei niskala laha'avais v'elu shem ha-parsha va'era kaya skala shel ha'avais hainu she'parsha sheba medubar ides haskalas b'nei Yisrael shalei haisatz ha'avais nekras al shem haskalas el ha'avais. So in addition to us not understanding why this is a cause and effect, we have an additional on top of that saying that the name of the parsha is like the whole parsha, right? So why is, if we're talking about Va'era, I revealed myself to the Avos, right? But we're talking about how the way that Hashem revealed himself to Bnei Israel is greater than the revelation of the Avos. That's why it says Parshas Va'era. So how so this basically strengthens our question of that we're like, oh, like the Bnei Israel was kind of like the Avos was like a practice run, and then this is like the real game, right? So why is this whole conversation like pinned to the Avos' revelation and not to the Bnei Israel's revelation, which is officially bigger at this point, right? So those are our two questions. We're basically not understanding how these two things kind of match up. And then we're going to start with ice base. Any questions, comments? Okay. Hi Simcha Chaya, welcome. And Nechama and Bracha, hello. So ice base. V'nir Leimer shekevan shenikram avos kemudgash b'perish Rashi ve'era el avos she'avos hu l'mayla may have banim makar lahem yesh b'amal yisrael l'gabe habanim. So we can say that when we're talking about the parents, the fathers, there's a special what's it called? Emphasis that there's something greater about them, right? Because the fathers are greater than the children because they are the source of the children. So there's something extra. They kind of have a leg up. They're kind of, elevated in some sort of way in relation to their children. Shamalas avos higam lagabe Moshe she'alav namar ani havaya v'al yadei haya hagilo d'shem havaya l'chol b'nei Yisrael k'mu b'fresh Rashi. Shamalai kashbar chochaval al d'avden v'lei mistachshin yeshlei les einin al misas ha'avos. Harbe pam niglisi alehem b'kel shaka v'lei amar li misamchav at ve'ata amarta ma shemai lai hiru achar midase ve'ata amarta lama harei isa. So there's something greater of the Avos over Moshe because Moshe's connection to Hashem is greater than the Avos because it is the connection of one second. Moshe's connection is greater because it's Havaya, right? Because Havaya is revealed to Hashem, but then there's like a but that the Avos in a way the Avos did not question anything about Hashem the way that Moshe did. And Moshe questioned it in many ways. Moshe questioned it Specifically, who am I speaking to? The Avos never asked. He asked, who, why did you pick me, right? Why did you do this terrible thing to the Bnei Yisrael? Why did you do something so terrible to them? All these questions that Moshe always had, like on a constant basis, that was the way of his relationship with Hashem. This was not at all the way of the beis, right? So that was a big change. ובלשון הכסף הער על אברהם וגמר לכן אמר לבני ישראל אני הוויה כדלקמן. So to the point where Moshe asked all these questions, to the point where when Hashem says ve'er al ha'avos, this is what caused the revelation in the children. Okay, so we're basically making this even stronger, that like this the fact that Hashem revealed himself to Avram is what caused, like it was a direct it was a direct outcome to speaking to the relationship that he would have with the Bnei Yisrael in the future, or in this point with Moshe, and it will be, the Rebbe is going to explain it a little more. So we basically right here brought a very solid question. And we sort of answered it, okay? And we're going to answer it a little more here. So Hasichos explains, Shegilo Shem Havaya, Hay b'Matan Torah v'lachein etzel ha'avos hay lifnei Matan Torah lifnei v'era v'gamer v'kel shakai shmi Havaya le'nedati lahem v'etzel b'nei Yisrael shezachu l'Matan Torah la'achar yitzes Yisrael neskal Shem Havaya kehem shachakasov. So the Rebbe is just going to go to like here a foundation of Hasichos, obviously, that Matan Torah is what brought the revelation of Havaya in this universe. And before this point, which means specifically by beis, there wasn't that revelation of Havaya in this universe. It wasn't revealed. And then Matan Torah is really what brought that. When Hashem took the Bnei Yisrael out of Mitzrayim and he took them to Har Sinai and gave them the Torah, that was the point where there was a shift of Havaya being known in this world. And even so, the fact that the Avos were before Matan Torah, obviously they had a different experience than after Matan Torah when Havaya was revealed. Right, but at the same point, even though his experience is different, he still was Makayim the entire Torah, even though it wasn't given. So this next little point is super interesting. Avram Haisa Haschal Matan Torah Kamudgash b'mitzvos Mila. Avram Shaisa Kamay HaMitzvah L'Achar Matan Torah Al Yadam Nimshachas Kedusha B'Chayfetz HaGashmi Shabai. So basically, even though Avram Avinu did all the mitzvahs before Matan Torah, there was something. It was a haschala. It was a beginning, an introduction, a segue into Matan Torah, which is emphasized specifically in the mitzvah of mitzvahs Mila. Because after Matan Torah, everything that we do through Matan Torah, we're able to draw Kedusha into every single physical object, right? The chayfet. So we're like, everything is able to absorb and integrate within itself Kedusha, which was really only, in Avram's point, it was really only his bris. It's very interesting that a lot of these Hasichos mention, or not mention, really delve into the whole idea of what the significance of Avram's bris. So, here, so Kamaisha Kasev Simna Yadcha Tachas Yerechai Lefi Shehanishpat Sarach Sheyitel B'Yadei Chayfetz Shel Mitzvah. Hainusha Chidish Matan Torah be'amshachas elikas ba'elam chibur elim et planet hischil b'mitzvos mila del Avram. So when we talk about basically when Eliezer had to promise to Avram that he was going to go and take care of all of his business with Rivka to get Yitzchak a wife, to get a wife for Yitzchak. He told him, he put your hand under my Yerechai, like my leg or whatever. Basically, it was Eliezer was supposed to, Avram was telling Eliezer to hold his, like the place of the bris physically, because in order for him to like do the like the to like give strength to his promise, he had to touch a chayfetz shel mitzvah, like something, a physical mitzvah. And in Avram's case, the only chayfetz shel mitzvah was his bris. That was the only thing that had a physical like manifestation because of the way that it was, like because he waited for Hashem to tell him about it and all that. All the other mitzvahs didn't have that same physical integration. So so the idea, so we learned from that piece that everything that the gezerah of Matan Torah, that Matan Torah deleted the gezerah, not deleted, dissolved, I'll say, the gezerah that originally Alyanim la yardu Amar Halyanim yardu Alyanim, that the above worlds can come down to this physical world, and then the physical can go up to the above, and this was obviously, as we know, through Matan Torah. But the introduction was not Yaakov, Avram's bris. But of Afshech Shachibor the Island the Alien of Taltanim, Sheschem Mitzvah Haya Benegel La'aver Begufa Shel Avram Avinu. So the connection of Elyanim and Taltanim happened. What was the first piece of Elyanim merging with Taltanim? Not merging, but like kind of pouring into each other, happened with a physical part of Yaakov's body, of Avram's body, right? Benagel le'aver begufa, like a very specific physical part of his actual physical body. So that's a very important nuance. Not a nuance. It's foundational, because this is the foundational mitzvah. Yesh le'emesh meraymes gam hakesher v'shachas la'pa'ula ba'elam b'partei halyanim de'hatshuva b'nikitas chayfetz l'mila. So we'll just get a little more like context about what this means to have a physical manifestation of Hashem on our physical body through the specific story and these details of this specific situation of Eliezer making a promise, holding on to the chayfetz of the mitzvah, and and within the context of the story. So number one, b'kasher la'shidach Yitzchak v'Rivka yichud ma'uban shehu inyan klolos kol ha'avayda d'kiyam ha'Torah mitzvos shalei ze nasam shachas hakdusha b'taltainim. So number one, what's happening here? What's Eliezer promising? Eliezer's promising that he is going to make the shidduch of Yitzchak and Rivka, or not. He's not going to make it. This is in connection. This is his giving Avram his word that this is what he's going to do. What is the shidduch of Yitzchak and Rivka? Yichud ma'aban. It's the unification of ma and ban. Okay, so I'm not going to explain that this second, but the Rebbe says in very short that this is the whole the umbrella obligation of our entire avodah of doing Torah mitzvahs is the unification of ma and ban that happens through drawing down the kedusha in the Taltainim. So that's number one. It's the unification of Ma and Ban in this world, which is Elyanim and Taltanim. And number two, Ba'alidei Eliezer Avad Avram Afsha ben Agela Shidach Tigitzach Amar Lay Avram Eliezer B'ni Baruch Atav Ar Ve'in Ar Medabek Bebaruch Mikama Kam Nasa Shidach Tigitzach Rivka Alidei Eliezer Dafka Shebezem Mudgash Enin De Skafya Shucha Lenahar Eshapcha Shucha Lenahar Umariver Lim Miska Sh'aidei Zeh Nif'al HaChibur Dil Elyanim V'Taltanim. This is even a more powerful thing, that who's the one who's making this connection? Who's the Shalchan here? Eliezer. Eliezer, a minute before, Avram tells Eliezer that my children are blessed and your children are cursed, and we don't, medabek, we don't unify, connect, like a cursed doesn't connect with somebody who's blessed. Okay, so that's a big, in the same conversation, while Avram is saying that, in the same exact conversation, like technically almost in the same breath of Avram saying that I can't be Mashadach with your children because you're cursed, and because my son is blessed, it's not going to work. Eliezer is the one who's making the shidduch. It's still, even though his children are not, in this situation, they can't be. He is still must be the one, specifically Eliezer Dafka, is the one that's making this that's making this happen. Okay, so let's not forget, like so this basically brings home the fact that the changing over of darkness into light and bitterness, sweetening the bitterness, happens through the connection specifically of Elyanim Taltanim, and it's like the completest way, the most highest way for this type of connection to happen is with it all together. Okay, so there are very clear boundaries of where Eliezer stands and his relationship to Avram, and Eliezer's children's relationship to Yitzchak. Very, very, very clear that it's not going to happen. And Eliezer is that person that's going to make it happen. Okay, so it's not ironic, it's just the system. This is how the system is, that in order to get the highest connection and in order to get the highest unification, it has to be through somebody like Eliezer. The Kevan Sheva Era El Havram Bekel Shakai Haya Ben Egel Mitzvah Mila. Right. So when Hashem says Ve'era El Avram, which specific time is Hashem talking about? The time of, in relation to the Mitzvah Mila. Shabbat Hischel Ini de Matan Torah Ad Kan Sarach Liyais Shenichla Bazeh Gam Haschel Gilo Hashem Havai Shabbat Matan Torah. So I don't know about you, but this is definitely a big shift here, where the Rebbe is answering that Va'era is referring to when Hashem revealed himself to Avram in connection to his bris milah, and he says, with the name of Kel Shakai, right? This was the beginning of the whole idea of Matan Torah. Okay, because we're talking about the physical manifestation of Hashem on his body, right? Therefore, it must be. So obviously, there's no question that this is the beginning, and this includes and is part of the same package of Shem Havaya that's going to be revealed during Matan Torah. So it definitely is the Lachim. Right? And so I'm just going to say that one more time. That the Hashem revealing himself to Avram at the bris milah was the beginning because that's the first time that there was a physical manifestation of Hashem, and the physical manifestation of Elyonim Intertainim on Avram Avinu's physical body. And this was the beginning, the introduction, the not the trial run, I'm not sure what the word is, of beginning of this whole not unraveling, but unraveling of the idea that Shem Havaya can be revealed specifically as it was during Matan Torah. Okay, I'm going to pause for questions. Are we good? Okay. I started. Alpha P Kane, Namar Va'era Al Avram V'gar Rashmi Havaya Lane Dati Lahem Kivan She'en Yinzeh Haya B'mitzvah Mila Bavad. So we're gonna go a little deeper into the idea that Va'era El Avram, that Hashem revealing to Avram without the name of Havaya, is expressed and manifested in specifically the mitzvah Mila. Why? Meha Birurim. I'm just gonna grab some water here. Meha Birurim b'shachas tegila Shem Havaya l'chedesh Matan Torah. B'chir b'dalyan of Telanim hamshachas alikus ba'olam. Kivan Shem Havaya hu bligvo umitzad taikef hagiloid ar habligvo nimshach gam lamata. So when we're gonna just pause and look at what was the revelation of Shem Havaya by Matan Torah. What was the newness of it? That it made this connection, it made this channel, it made this unification of Elyonim and Tachtainim, and it basically drew Elikus in this world. Which means that the Shem Havaya is above the world, and it drew it into the world. Kivan Shem Havaya, who bligvo umitzat. Sorry, I just read this. There was something so not expansive, but so limitless. There is the Shem Havaya is 100% limitless. There's nothing that can tie it down, and so the idea that it's able to be revealed is saying something very great about this experience. Eventually, Avram Haisam Shachas Hakdusha Lamata Rak b'mitzvos Mila of Aver b'gufay shel Avram Avinu of Abba Elam Loi Haisam Shachas Hakdusha Loi Nikar b'Taikef Hagilu Da'ar HaBligvol Shmi Havaya Lenedetilan. So with Avram, he didn't have the experience of Shem Havaya. The only experience of Shem Havaya and physical manifestation and drawing down of the holiness in this physical world was only through mitzvahs Mila, one part of his body, one limb of his body. It was so within the entire universe, there was one place in the entire universe that Hashem's that there was this drawing down and this manifestation of Hashem in this physical world was in Avram's physical limb. That was the only thing.
Wait, sorry, didn't you say that Kel Shakai was the one who revealed himself to Avram during that time?
Yes.
So how does that match up?
You know what? I think you 1 second. Yeah, you're right. There was I got a little carried away here, Nechama. Thank you for asking. So there was that one tiny space, which is very, I mean, relative to the whole world, relative to anything, it's a very small place where Hashem's Havaya was revealed. But it says Lai Nikar B'Taikif Agilo D'Ar Bligvol. But it wasn't like recognized in its greatness. So there was a tiny manifestation of it, but that's it. So that's why Shmi Havaya Lai.
So maybe it's saying that through his bris, it brought a revelation of Kel Shakai into the world. But for him personally, he was experiencing some Havaya maybe, but it only stayed contained. I don't know. I'm making that up. I'm just.
I don't think so.
So how would you explain that?
Shmi Havaya light. Let me read this again. Kevansha Etzel, and anyone else jump in if you can help here. But Kevansha Etzel, Avram Haisam Shachas Hakadusha Matan Torah Mitzvos Mila. So there was a Hamshacha, but I guess it wasn't Shach. It wasn't Havaya. Aver B'Kafash Avram Avinu Avav Eilam Lahaisam Shachas Hakadusha. It wasn't in the world, but there was some piece of it, which is Shakai, I guess. Like it's almost like when Hashem's saying like Shmi Havaya Lenadati, like we can like gloat about that all we want. You know what I mean? That the Avais didn't have this experience, blah blah blah. And everyone's like, no, don't gloat about it. Don't be like all, get on your high horse about it. Avram had an access to it, and at the same time, the das of Shem Havaya he didn't have access to it. Does that make sense?
Sorry, yes, I got that.
Why can't it just be that the beginning of it started there, but it wasn't in its fullest skalos until Matan Torah?
Yeah,
it's actually saying that it did. Shem Havaya also did actually begin in Mitzvahs Milah, but it says Lenadati Lahem because it wasn't completely revealed and known yet. But the spark of it, the beginning,
right. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Adina. And also, I want to add the Rebbe. I don't know if we'll get to it. We probably won't. But later, the Rebbe is going to explain what das, right? Why specifically Shmi Havaya Lenadati, and obviously what we know about das, we can kind of imagine what that conversation is going to look like later on in the Sikha. Thank you. Aval idach kevan shegam shachas hakadusha lamato mitzvos mila hi idei habligvo. So this whole idea of Ligvol Harzah Haschalas Gila Shem Lavai Shem Matan Torah Aval Shekayach Bligvol Shal Yadai Nasasam Shachamata Ininikar Begilo Alidam Shachagam Bailam. Yeah, that's exactly what you said, Adina. That there was an element of Shem Havaya being drawn down through Mitzvos Milah, but because it had to have been with the Kayach of Bligvol, Avram had to access this power of limitless Hashemness, but it was only Nikar. It was only recognized and understood to whatever level after. Sorry. Oh yeah. So sorry. It was not able to be revealed. I'm sorry. It was not able to be recognized. So it was here, but it wasn't recognized. That's what we're saying. That's the das part. Valpizat, yeah, does that make sense? So basically it was in this universe, but it wasn't recognized and understood and seen. Valpizat, it's interesting when you think about like seeing, it's like when people want to be seen, like you can have an experience and it's just the experience, but when someone sees you in your experience, or when you see someone else in their experience, it like, I don't know, just popped up about that. Valpizat yimtak dia kalashan shmi havai lai naidaiti lai haidaiti inksiv kan ella naidaiti lai nikarti. Shachisaran hu rak bahakara v'haskalas aval ikir inidam shachas gila shem havai hitzchak par b'mitzvos mila. So Hashem, he's not saying naidaiti because so this is like a technical grammatical. Why did Hashem say nikarti, like I made myself known? Because Hashem made himself known through mitzvos mila, and Hashem made Shem Havai known in this universe, but it wasn't something that that was able to be absorbed and understood and seen and recognized in its revelation and revealed. And the whole, but the essence of it still was the beginning of the revelation, even though it wasn't experienced really by anybody or understood in that way. It's interesting because there says hakara and also nikar, like it's like this experiential understanding of it, which didn't exist before Matan Torah, but it existed on a certain level. So these two paragraphs, I think, clarified your question, the answer to your question. I think we're going to do one more ice ches. Sorry, not ches. Hey. Okay. Muv'amek yeser shenaisef al haschalas ha'pa'ula dechibar al yenet al-tainim da'achadish matan Torah mitzvos mila yesh etzel avos umehem nimshach levanim anin nala yeser. So we're going to go dive in a little more. That not only was it in addition to it being the beginning of the ability and the doing of this connection of El Yanim and Tachtanim, through mitzvos mila. So that's not enough. Like the fact that this happened was not enough, and more than that, there is something that the others are bringing to the table. So it's not just the foundation. It's not just the we'll see what that is. Who begidr ha'alam shenechlak le'elyanim v'tachtanim. V'achi yesh gezerah v'hefsek bein elyanim v'tachtanim. V'adar b'tela ha'gezerah v'nasa ha'chibur d'elyanim v'tachtanim aval mitzad dargas elkas shalmala migeder elyanim v'tachtanim le'shach gezerah v'hefsek bein elyanim v'tachtanim shenimtzeh b'elyanim v'tachtanim b'shav. So the unification and the connection and the opening of the conversation between Elyanim and Tachtanim was only, as in Elyanim and Tachtanim are separate, right? There's a gezerah that they're 100% separate. And Matan Torah broke that gezerah. However, according to the way Hashem sees it from Hashem's perspective, there never was that gezerah, which means that they always were connected, that they always had a common language, they always had intersecting experiences which they were able to like work with or whatever. There was always that relationship that we're talking about. We're being all dramatic that like this relationship all of a sudden got opened up. But the Rebbe is saying here that from like perspective of Hashem, that never was a thing. It was just a thing for like us down here, right? Because Hashem was always, the Shem Havai was always in this world, but it wasn't known in this world, right? So Hashem is equally everywhere, even before Matan Torah. Who shagam begiloi Gedari ha'olam yesh by gezerah v'hafsek bein elyanim v'tachtanim timshach dargas alikos shalamayla migeder elyanim v'tachtanim. So, in relation to the levels and the rules of the world, there was a breaking point where it basically like kind of broke open where they were able to connect again. And that the level of Elikus that's above basically what broke this gezerah was a level of revelation that is above both of them. Something that's above both of them is able to connect both of them. Until then, whatever was revealed was something that was within the confines of either one of them, right? When we move on, Gam Benegel Gila Shem Havai, Lelevnei Yisrael Matan Torah. Shechadesh Ze Kasher Im Avidas Mishal Bnei Yisrael Ba'ela. So when we talk about, so we can understand when we talk about the revelation of Havaya to Bnei Yisrael during the times of Matan Torah, at Matan Torah, what was the Chedesh? That it basically connected, it made a connection to the work of the Bnei Yisrael in this world, okay? But basically gave the opportunity to us, that we have the opportunity, we have the keys, we have the tools, we have the toolbox to be able to, and the accessibility to be able to connect Elyanim and Taltainim. But even before this manifestation, this opportunity, this invitation to be able to engage in the world in this type of way, the etzem of Bnei Yisrael is even higher than Torah, which means that even though the Bnei Yisrael have now an opportunity to merge these two universes, these two realities, these two realities of Elyon and Taltainim, they have some through the Torah, the Bnei Yisrael even higher than Torah. Right, so the machshavasan, and I think this is actually an amazing way to end off. Machshavtan she Yisrael kadma l'chol davar. The thoughts of Yisrael come before everything, even in addition to the machshavas of the Torah. Shu dargas avos. So when we talk about the amazing things that the Torah brought to the world, we're going to backtrack a tiny bit and say, wait, whatever the Torah brought to the world, the Bnei Yisrael brought even more. And who is the foundation of that? Who's the opening? Who started this all off? The Avos. So let's just take a deep breath here for a second and say, like, wait, everything started. The source, the basis, the foundation, the essence of every single of all of us, of the Bnei Yisrael, starts with Avram Avinu. Right? Avram was himself, and he established this this beingness of really being above Reish, of believing, of being connected to Hashem, of being a physical manifestation of Hashem in this world. And he opened the capability, and he was the one who really started off and made it possible for all of us to believe and to have Mesiras Nefesh because of the essence of our neshama. So this is Vachedesh de Gilo Shem Havaya Matan Torah Hi Sha'etzim D'Yisrael Dargas Aves Yimshach B'Yisrael Gam V'Chinas HaGilayim. So we're here thinking that Matan Torah reveals the greatness of Hashem. Matan Torah reveals the greatness of the Torah. Matan Torah reveals the idea that we're able to absorb and merge and integrate holiness into this physical world. And the Rebbe is saying no. It's revealing the etzem of Yisrael, right? The level of the Bnei Yisrael as it's connected to the Avos. And Matan Torah is it's drawing it down. It's revealing the idea that in a most revealed on the stage way, right? Like on screens everywhere. Basically, Matan Torah literally brought to every single theater in this entire universe, and every single stage, and every single piece of art and everything, showing the kaiches hanefesh. Oh, sorry, revealed with everything. וגם כפי שנשלף שבגוף העולם הזה הגשמי, כדי לפעל בעולם על ידי קיום המצוות, המשך דרגת הליכוס שלמעלה מגדר עליין ותחתין. So, Matan Torah, whatever you learned before as a child about Matan Torah, about of what happened at Har Sinai, the Rebbe is basically inviting us to a new reality, a new experience of what that is. What is that? That the greatness of Bnei Yisrael is being revealed with the kaiches of with kaiches hanefesh, and also how it is expressed and established and manifested in the body, in this physical world, in order to impact this entire universe and draw down elikus that is above and beyond anything that is anything related to Elyon and Tachtain, and basically breaking through all those divisions and all those basically there obviously is Hashem as is revealed Elyon, as Hashem is revealed in Tachton, and there's as Hashem is revealed above everything, and that is all accessed through our physical body, through our kaiches, through our and I think that's a beautiful way to end off today, and I'd love to open the floor to any of your closing thoughts.
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll tell you what I'm thinking about. It's similar also to what we were talking about last week in a way, but just it's really amazing, like that connection of, in a way, like now Hashem is telling Maisha, I'm going to show my deeper self, through this whole experience. Like you're going to get a revelation of my higher self that ultimately, like you said, it in a physical way was revealed through Matan Torah, but it was happening, drawing down through the pain and the hardship and the struggle and the faith and the yearning, and like through the physical pain and struggle, and us like elevating that and turning to Hashem and not giving up and like fighting for staying strong spiritually, emotionally. That's the highest level, and that's actually what draws down higher and higher and higher and higher light. And like Matan Torah it's a whole deeper understanding of, they had to get they had to go through Mitzrayim in order to get Matan Torah. So it's like that we had to do the work in order to be able to be ready for that kind of light. And like now, all these years, like accumulation of pain and struggle and this like inner work that we're doing now, it's our effort drawing down higher and higher lights. Like it's always been there. Also, like another thing I was thinking about is like the light Havaya was there from Abraham, but it wasn't integrated. It's like all this deep Hasidus and understandings and the emotional spiritual world, like it was always there. We weren't able to understand until now. I know that's what I've been thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. Thank you for sharing. It's really powerful. And even like that like what jumped out at me was like backtrack a second. Everything you understood and everything you knew and everything you experienced as you understand Matan Torah, like it's not that. It's like way bigger, way greater, and it's you. And it's like you experiencing each and every level of you, right? The Rebbe even breaks it down. That is revealed and drawn down and experienced and manifested. B'vchinas hagiloyim, in right? So kachas nefesh, the levushim, the guf hagashmi, right? And all these levels that just to appreciate our experience and how each piece of the experience is so, so, so important in the grand scheme of the universe, because that's what Matan Torah is.
I also think it's
Yeah.
really about consistently working on changing our relationship around pain and suffering and struggle, and like realize, like, from our perspective, like, we don't want pain and we don't want to struggle, and like it feels like so cruel of Hashem, you know, sometimes. And it's like, but it's like, if we see it that way, then yes. But like, if we change our relationship with pain, and it's like, pain is all a matter of perception and how we handle it, and how we, like, if we see it as like, this pain is to like really deeply help me go deep, more inwards, and like release stuff that I've been holding on to, and change my course of understanding things. And it's like, you know, it's deeply, deeply uncomfortable, but it's like the only way to move me into a different direction. Another thing.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. And I want to add to that to say that all of those experiences are important in and of themselves and what they bring to the world. As in, like, it's not about like holding your breath to get to the other side. It's like, no, this is it. This is it, and this is it, and this is it. And like, you know, people say, oh, you'll forget it, like it will never matter or whatever. Like, yeah, well, it will forever matter. And that's what makes it so important. That's what makes it so great. And that's what makes, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
also, Hani.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, Hani. Thanks for the class. I'm just going to be on audio today.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for the sicha. The way also in connection what Nechama was saying about the pain and the struggle. So I think you mentioned this like 2 weeks ago. Also, like, what is behind, like, or maybe it was last week, like what's behind the pain and the struggle and the suffering. And this is not in any way, you know, to justify it, but there is like, I think like personally, I feel for myself, like a lot of the pain that I experienced was based on, you know, this division between higher and lower, like, oh, this is good, this is not good. This is okay, this is not okay. This is bad, this is day, this is light. Like, it's such a dichotomy, like between, and living in that dichotomy. I think Bracha also mentioned it, like, you know, there's no integration. And I think the Rebbe is saying here, like, there's an integration that has been happening cosmically always, since before creation, before the Torah even, like something that's in the essence of our soul, of which is connected to Emunah, which is something we so need right now, and Mesiras Nefesh, whatever that means, whatever context that means. So it's like looking at the world and looking at the experiences that we go through and saying, okay, it's not, I don't know, I guess I'm just processing it while I'm sharing it also. I don't even know exactly where I'm going with this. There's no agenda here. It's just sharing that, you know, a lot of the pain is resistance. That's what it is. And like when we feel pain, it's because we're resisting something. So when we let go of that and see that there's something that I mean, what's the war? What's the struggle? When there's no peace, there's no integration. When there's integration of everything, there's no more war. So there's no more struggle. There's no more resistance. There's no more pain. So, and when there's no more of that resistance, then I guess the upper and the lower, whatever that means in everybody's life, there will be like a seamless harmony that will come. And I guess it's going to show up differently for every person, but it's almost like a flow that you go with this flow. And it's not spiritual and physical. They're all one. I don't know. I guess it's very theoretically theory, but it's making a lot of sense, I guess, to my, you know, in some level. And just learning about this, it just brings it to our lives, like even more, like the Rebbe's words.
It is. I love what you said, Simcha Chaya,
Yeah.
and it's also specific, like what the Rebbe said. Like that's what he said, right? I think you said that that our thoughts are like higher than the Torah, right? You said something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like
Machshavtan Yisrael Kadma l'chol davar, comes before everything.
right. So like what
Yeah.
Simcha Chai, what you're saying, I'm thinking about it's like exactly. It's like our perception and our attitude and our ability to like rise above and rise through and be like, what can I learn? And there's no dichotomy. This is not like a punishment or I made a mistake. It's like, what is the lesson right here? And like, what am I going to take from this? How am I going to grow? What is Hashem teaching me? Hashem's holding me through this. And like all those thoughts, that is what integrates higher and higher, deeper and deeper,
Yeah.
deeper understandings and levels of Hashem.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I actually, I feel like you explained the whole like thing about the flow really well. And I want to add to that to say that the last little piece of the ice here is Kedei lafayel ba'olam hamshachas dargas elikus shalom migader l'elim l'tachton. So through showing up in that way of being open to the flow and less pain, less resistance to the higher and the lower for in whatever way that means, we are literally drawing this level of elikus into this world because we're allowing it to be. If we don't allow it to be, then they both have to be fighting, and they can't interact with each other.
Exactly. And you know what I was thinking while Nechama was also, sharing just now, and also you, Hani, like even like a very practical experience, like how many times does this happen? I guess, we're all on so much on social media, WhatsApp and Instagram, whatever. How many times something happens there? And I don't know, happened to me recently, like a few weeks or whatever, like I left the group and it was painful at the time because I was like resisting it. Oh, why'd I have to leave the group, blah, blah, blah. But then something so amazing blossomed from that. Like I was able to make another connection with somebody. And it was like, whoa, like there's no, like, and living in that flow of like, and also the physicality, like in the body. And I mean, the Rebbe is talking about the bris milah. I mean, this is like
it's
the most
crazy.
intimate part, the most vulnerable. Like we're talking about the most vulnerable in physicality, intimacy, and all, that what that represents, and the femininity and the masculinity and all that. And it was saying like in that, like what we would think, oh, this is the most physical, like this is in the flow as well, with Torah mitzvahs, with those guidelines, which of course to be able to, channel all this light, because this is a lot of light. This is like great lights that are lemalamina, like it's even above the world, but then it's in the world also. Yeah. So it's just that I just feel like if I would have to summarize it, like I'm just feeling so like the Rebbe is like you're saying, inviting us to so much harmony and peace and like everything that's going on. There's no paradox, there's no struggle, there's no war, there's no battle. This is like it's just an integration of everything. And to live the life like that, like to live in that Geula state, I guess that's what's going to bring Geula in the world.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Right? That famous mashal we always talk about with like, the family that's thrown into the pit, and then they want to come out of the pit, and then we say, no, we're not going to come out of the pit, and they're so silly because they got so used to the pit. I'm probably taking it out of context, but
I don't think so.
I struggle a little bit with this concept of, I know this is actually our avodah. Our avodah is to like reveal within that pit, it's even godliness, right? Like in a way, we are in galus and we see hardships. And yes, we are supposed to not look at it as painful or try to have emunah that we're going to get through it. But at the same time, like we are still in a limited state and the Eibishter is still in a limited state. So like, I know our avodah is to kind of come to terms that it's not really limited, but there is a certain extent that's supposed to shake us up and wake us up of like, it's still limited. I don't know. Is that like the preemptive for us to be able to live in a different way? Or is it us, maybe we're supposed to be like Chana and daven and cry more? I know this is like the basis of everything that we discuss here. And I think that there's a place for both. I don't know if it's solely just, on one hand, having the emunah and trying to manifest and unpack the likus that's been here since day one. Teva just covered it, right? For us to recognize it more in hardships, to be able to keep our heads up. But then there's also like Al Pi Teva, the Eibishter is still in Golus, only according to our eyes, right?
Yeah.
Hashem is unlimited always. I just struggle with this.
Yeah.
Or this.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for asking. And I do feel like, yeah, it's a question. And I kind of struggle with like, I almost sometimes feel like when we use this language, sometimes I feel like we're almost rationalizing
Right.
challenges, and like, I don't think the Rebbe is doing that at all. I think maybe that's what we might be doing. Maybe that's what we might be hearing from each other, but I don't hear that from the Rebbe, and I have a very hard time like being able to express what the Rebbe is saying without, and the Rebbe is not rationalizing any pain ever. So I think that's the first thing. I think that there's no like reason or rationalization to any sort of pain
in this world.
Yes.
Even
No, absolutely. And I think, and yeah, and I think like just watching like the Rebbe, how he cried and how like I'm just getting chills thinking about like these things were very, 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 very real. And I think I really appreciate that you brought it, because I think it's important that we make that distinction. First of all,
I
think it's important.
Say, like,
yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, the thing is like, from our very constricted human perspective, like, we put things in boxes. So we think like, okay, either like if Hashem's in charge, that means we need to rationalize and we need to be okay, like what you're saying, or like we feel the pain, we cry, we scream, we yell. But the thing is, getting into like an elevated experience, like where we're really in Hashem's infinite like power, light, whatever you want to call it, is that you start expanding, you have expansiveness, right? That's malchus. And you could be in your human body and experience 10 different human truths at the same time, and hold space for all of that. Like, and that's like what true malchus is like, if there's any denial or any denial of self, or any like pushback or constriction or whatever, then that you're not allowing for this true experience. So like simultaneously, like, this hurts, I'm in pain, where's the pain, where do I feel it, what is this reminding me of, like I need to cry, I need to hold this pain, and then at the same time, like, Hashem's with me, Hashem's holding me, I have faith, I'm gonna get through this, like, what can I do for self-care? Like, that's what malchus is like your experience opens up so much, and you have these powerful, like, even just a few days ago, I was actually in a lot of pain, and it's like something triggered me, and usually I like lie I lie somewhere and I listen to meditation music, and I go through this inner process of like, where am I feeling the pain? Like, what is this reminding of? Like, how old am I? And like, I could come back to like my inner child to heal. And in this situation, like, I was like, how old am I? And I just saw like energy. I didn't see, like, my little girl didn't come up for me. And I realized it was like, it wasn't even about a childhood thing. It was like my soul was just grieving like this like gullus reality, and just like where people are at. And then I know this is like way too like whatever, but I'm just saying, I visualize things when I'm like just like listening to music and in this like very open space, and like I saw tears coming down, and I understood it was like Hashem's crying with like my neshama's grief. And like that whole experience, it was like at the same time knowing 1000% I'm going to get through this pain, I'm going to grow from it, like Hashem is the one sending me this pain, holding me through this pain. But yeah, I guess that's my
yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think I just want to like add to like, I guess in my like how I see the answer to your question is, what happens is like the Rebbe is bringing us something brand new. The Rebbe is being very vulnerable in the way of giving us access to this information, and giving us access to this experience, and giving us access to these choices to live a different reality. So that's what I was saying. That's where I struggle, because that living that reality looks different for every single person. So it can be really difficult to say like, this is, that's why in the beginning, like when I started in the class in the beginning, I was like, listen to what the Rebbe is telling you. There's something specific that the Rebbe is telling you, and I have no idea what that is, and I have no idea what the reality is. And so basically, the Rebbe is like validating all of our experiences. The Rebbe is saying that all of our experiences are important. The Rebbe is saying that everything who we are, our identity, our Eser Kachas HaNefesh, our Levushim, our everything, hold so much value. And that's all I know. How, where, what's the answer for you? Like, I have no idea. And that's why I'm just like, and I don't want, like, is it self-care? Is it this? Is it screaming? Is it being Chana? Is it this? It's everything. And you have the power of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You have the power of Va'era. You have the power of like, Shmei Havayah Dati. But now you do have that das. And what's that das telling you in this moment?
Right.
So the answer is that's it. Like, what is that? And the Rebbe is telling you, like, no, you have that access to Avram. You have that access to the Emunah. You have access to the Mesiras Nefesh. So maybe it's Mesiras Nefesh in this moment. Maybe it's Chana. Maybe you have it all above what you always thought Matan Torah was, that it's bringing the Torah into this world. No, it's bringing your energy. It's bringing your power into this universe, as painful and as vulnerable in this place, because you have to make that choice of what that's going to be for you.